Everyone, and we're back. And today we are going to do a short sequence of movements for hypermobile individuals. It's a couple of movements that I really like to do that help me feel reconnected to my body as a hypermobile individual. It's going to help re-stabilize a bunch of the kind of major joint groups. So we're going to go through neck, through shoulders, through hips, through feet. And we are going to start this whole series today a little differently. So what we're going to do is run this more like a private session would be. I learned long ago, I do not enjoy teaching while I'm working out. I don't enjoy demoing and trying to cue movements for you guys. It's not the way I teach private sessions, and I find it very challenging to come up with good cues while I'm in the middle of a movement. So what we're going to do together is I am going to demonstrate the first like one or two repetitions of an exercise so you guys can see, and then I'm going to stop and you guys will keep going, and I am going to come up with verbal cues for you guys to help you kind of connect deeper into the movement. Honestly, it's like I said, it's the way I've run private sessions in studio. It's the way I do them virtually. And so I think that hopefully this translates well to you guys. And if it doesn't, let me know in the comments. If you love it, let me know in the comments. Please give me the feedback because I would love to hear it. But I just want to try this out because I think this will work a lot better for you guys as well as for me. So the first thing we're going to do is coming up to standing, and I'm totally going to cut my own head off for a second. I know, very bad YouTube etiquette, but for this series, you guys aren't going to need any props. You're not going to need any toys. You can just find some space on the floor. You don't even technically need a yoga mat if you have a nice soft carpet. But let's go ahead and stand up. And we're going to start standing because I want to start working at the bottom of your feet. And really the most important thing is that you guys, hello, can see my toes. So finding your feet in as parallel as you can comfortably get them, and as close to underneath your hips as you can get them. So a lot of people who have unstable pelvis, we have a tendency to kind of start in a wide stance. I'm going to try and get your feet a little more narrow. And I just want you guys to feel your feet on the floor for a second. So I'm kind of fidgeting out my ankles, trying to find what feels neutral. Take a second to just wiggle. And then as you kind of find yourself in whatever is your natural space, go ahead and just rest there. And we're going to start with some toe curls. And so you'll see my fingers made these eagle's talons. That's what I like to call this movement, talon toes. And you are going to curl all 10 toes, trying to keep the balls of your feet on the floor. And then relax them. And again, curl the toes, trying to keep the balls of your feet on the floor. And relax them. And as you cycle through this, I want you to really think about making talons with your toes. So a lot of people have the tendency, you see the difference here? I kind of flattened out my toes rather than curled them under. Imagine you're trying to pick up like a pin. So we'll go for about 8 to 10 of these. I am the queen of not being very good at counting repetitions. So I'm gonna go 2 more. You may start to feel like sensation higher up the leg, up into your pelvis. That's super normal. That's a good thing as long as it's not uncomfortable. Go ahead and relax out of your last one. All right, we're going to do this next set together. You're going to peel all 10 toes up. And you're going to relax. And you're going to do that again. Peel all 10 toes up. And then relax. You guys keep going. Keep cycling through all 10 toes peeling up. And I'm going to cue you through this a little bit now. So as you're peeling the toes up, I want you to think once again about keeping all of the metatarsals down on the floor. So you're not peeling up and shifting off the pinky toes or off the big toes or off the big balls of the foot. You're really trying to almost ground through here to create that lift. Maybe cycle through 8 to 10 of these. It's really kind of whatever feels good to you. And once again, you may start to feel sensation up the leg, up the pelvis, getting things kind of turned on. That's all good stuff as long as it's not painful for you. Finish off maybe 2 more. Maybe we're getting to 8, maybe we're getting to 10, maybe you've done 12, who knows? And from here, we're gonna start just very small movement. I want you to find the rim of your feet. That was a weird way to say it. I want you guys to find the outside line of your feet, from the inside to the balls of your feet, to the outside of your foot to your heel. I want you to keep the balls of your feet and toes grounded as you shift your weight very slightly to the outside of your foot. And then softly let everything come back in. And then shift your weight to the outside of your foot. And you'll notice I'm not coming here, all right? We're not trying to make a massive movement. We're not trying to roll out your ankle. We're just creating a little shift. And I can tell you right now, I feel this one like all the way up to the back of my leg, all the way up to my bum. And as you guys, again, cycle through 8, 10, 12 of these, make them small, make them slow. And the idea is that we're getting a little bit of an activation under the arch, a little bit of an activation to the ankle, and then relax. And when you relax, try not to just clunk, okay? Like that's like a thing that we hypermobile people like to do. We like to get really, really concentric and contracted, and then we just kind of. So try to control both directions of the movement. Feels good, even from down here. And once you've finished off about 10, go ahead and relax. Now I'm gonna give you guys one more that's kind of a challenge movement. You guys can stay standing. I'm just gonna do it from down here so you can see my lovely face. But what we're gonna do is go back into a little bit of toe movement, and you guys are gonna try and just lift up your big toe. Let me scooch back a bit so you guys can maybe see that a little bit better. So again, just lift up the big toe. And you guys can do this one of 2 ways. You can do both feet at the same time. If it's more comfortable for you to do one foot, that's cool. And as you cycle through this, I'm going to encourage you guys to try and keep your toe directionally head on. So I'll be honest with you, I'm totally doing this with my better foot. So let me show you guys. This foot's trickier for me. And you see how my toe kind of wants to like navigate inwards. I'm going to try and connect into the brain, connect into the foot. Oh yeah, that's so much more challenging. And for some of you guys, this might be more of a thought than an actual do for right now. It just kind of depends on where your feet are. You might have a really hard time not lifting your little toes with you. It's cool. Try this again tomorrow, see how it feels. All right, now I'm gonna go back into my better foot. We're gonna do pretty much the exact same thing, but on the opposite sets of toes. So I held down my big toe just to give you guys a really good like view here, but you're gonna lift the baby toes up and relax. And again, you can do this, ooh, hello, not the big toe, baby toes. You can do this both feet at the same time. You can do it one at a time. You can do both sets if that tickles your fancy. It just kind of depends on where you are. And what I'm going to encourage you guys here to do is when you're lifting the baby toes, try not to collapse your ankle inward, all right? Even if it's a smaller lift for the toes. If you're hypermobile, chances are your toes have a whole lot of mobility. We're not going for sides in these movements. We're going for connection into the top of the foot, into your stabilizing muscles. All right. We're gonna go ahead and relax. I'm gonna show you guys, I think this is turning into a longer video than I meant for it to be. So checking the time here. So I am gonna show you guys one more thing. So we've gone through the feet. Let's move up to the pelvis. You guys are gonna join me down on the mat. We're gonna do little pelvic rocks. These things are gonna be so micro, you guys may not even be able to see me do them on camera. But it's a really nice little series that's just gonna help you get a little bit more grounded through the pelvis. Some people, in different circles call this like a pelvic clock. It really just kind of depends on like what you wanna do here. So, grounding your feet, letting your knees just be up towards the ceiling parallel. And let your body just rest down to the floor. You can let your hands be on your abdomen. You can let them by your side. Don't worry about the upper body needing to be like perfectly flat. Just take a breath and settle in. Big inhale. And big exhale. And now I want you to think about the tip of your tailbone. And I want you to let gravity pull the tip of your tailbone down towards the floor. You should get just a teensy bit of space under the low back. Maybe you have a lot of space under the low back, who knows? And then I want you to think about the tip of your tailbone being 6 o'clock if we're working on a clock. And the opposite side is going to be up here at the top of your pelvis, just kind of like a few inches below your belly button. And that's going to be 12 o'clock. So now I want you to let the 12 o'clock drop back very softly to the floor. Oh goodness me, this feels good. And you can go ahead and inhale and let that 6 o'clock drop towards the floor. We create that teensy bit of space under the low back. And that teensy bit of movement, I should say. And then you're going to drop back towards the floor with 12 o'clock, letting your lower back settle into the floor. So you guys are going to cycle through that a couple more times. And as you do cycle through it, I want you guys to really feel into the smallness of the movement. One thing with hypermobility and hypermobile people is we're typically really good at making very big movements. And we're good at compensating to create those big movements. And so what we're trying to do here with this little rocking motion is just connect into those teensy-weensy little stabilizing muscles and just creating a little bit more groundedness through the pelvis. And so now we're going to go right side to left side. So centering the pelvis and whatever feels just like a natural position. Don't worry about being perfectly neutral. Just settle in. And now we've thought about pubic bone and top of the pelvis as 6 and 12. We're going to think about our right and left side pelvis as 3 and 9. So we're going to drop down into, I guess this is technically 9 o'clock. Drop back through center and then drop into your 3 o'clock. Now, I recently taught a private session with a woman. We were doing this sequence with 3 and 9 o'clock, and she literally couldn't move into 9 o'clock. Like her right hip literally, like, she had no mental connection. She had no connection to that hip. And at first she was getting really discouraged and she didn't like doing this because she could not create that connection. You guys should still be cycling through this, by the way. And it took a couple of weeks of practice and of her doing it at home and then coming in for her session, and we would try it together. And after like 3 weeks, she actually started to get some motion on both sides of the pelvis. And she got super excited. And I tell you this because sometimes, like, you may not feel all of these movements perfectly well today. They might be really challenging. That's fine. Just stick with them. As long as they're not painful, consistency is going to be key here. So come back through neutral now that I've just told you a little bit of the life story. And we are going to go into like a full pelvic clock sequence now. 12 to 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 and every number in between. And so basically what that means is you're going to start through whatever is centered for you. You're going to sink back into your 12 o'clock. You're going to tip towards 1 o'clock. Tip to 2 o'clock. Tip to 3 o'clock. And you're going to keep cycling around the clock, finding 6 o'clock at your tailbone. 7 o'clock tips. And it should, again, be pretty small. Take your time with it. There is no rush here. See, this is why I didn't mention in the beginning of this video. Once you finish that round, do another round the same direction. I usually like to do 2 of these. But this is why I didn't give a time in the beginning of the video. I was all like, oh, this is gonna be a really short video. It's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure we're like 20 minutes in. So, but you know, that's cool. I'll make sure I put it in the title description so you know it's gonna be however 20 minutes. Once you come back through 2 full pelvic locks, come through to the opposite side. So you're gonna start back at that 12 and you're gonna go 11. You're gonna go 10. You're gonna dip down into the 9, 8, and all the while you're doing this, I'll come up so maybe you can see a little bit better. I'm not sure if it's gonna be much better this direction, but you're kind of just doing a mini version of like, you know, Shakira hips. You know, you're doing like just a mini version of that kind of circular motion. This is huge. This is a lot of range of motion compared to what I'm hoping you guys are doing. Go through 2 rounds, by the way, of that counterclockwise pelvic clock. And then once you guys have finished that sequence, you can do another round on the opposite side. You can go again. Usually you will find that there's one direction or one side that feels a little bit stickier. And that's fine, that's normal. Again, we don't want this to be painful. So if it's feeling painful, maybe this isn't the movement for you. And that's also cool. But the foot exercises and the pelvic exercise that we went through today are super, super helpful in a couple of things. First of all, strengthening and stabilizing a lot of itty bitty little joints that have a lot of impact on your body. We don't often think about the feet as being all that important, but our feet are taking our entire body weights, like the brunt of our entire body weight every single day. So our feet are very, very important, and just play a really large role, obviously, in our gait patterning, how we're walking, how we're moving. The pelvis is so directly connected to the feet, it's like hard to extrapolate the two. There's rarely a moment where I'll do pelvic work without doing some sort of work through the feet. Again, it just kind of depends on the person, but these 2 series complement each other really, really nicely. Because again, they're going to help stabilize, they're going to help strengthen, but they're also just going to be really useful in kind of helping you find where your body's moving in space. So I encourage you guys to get up now, take a stand, see how you're feeling, maybe take a walk around the room, see if you're feeling a little more connected to your feet, a little more grounded. Next time I jump back up on here, I will make sure I do something a little more upper body oriented, but I did say this was going to be a short video and I have a session to get to in a minute. So with that being said, it feels good to be back. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back online a little bit, and I hope this type of teaching resonates with you guys, because chances are I will do some like longer classes on here. But I think what I'll do with that is have some bodies. So bodies that I can work with, or a body I can work with that's not my own. And that way I can teach it like a private session. You guys can watch if you find it useful. But yeah, let me know what you guys think below. Anywho, take care of yourselves and I'll be back soon.